It was late afternoon when I decided to leave the house. The air inside felt heavier than usual, like it had absorbed the silence between me and my husband. We'd barely spoken in days. Conversations had become logistical: bills, groceries, schedules, devoid of warmth or laughter. I didn't want to argue, nor did I have the energy to pretend everything was fine. I needed air, space, water. I packed a towel, a change of clothes, and headed to the community swimming pool. It wasn't luxurious, but it was quiet, hidden behind a row of trees on the edge of town. Most people preferred the lake this time of year. That's exactly why I chose the pool. When I arrived, I was relieved to see it nearly empty. Just one person was there, a young man, maybe in his early 20s, gliding effortlessly through the water. I recognized the ease of youth in his movements, the confidence of someone unburdened by adult disappointments. I walked to the far end and dipped my feet in. The water was cool, clean, and inviting. I slowly entered, feeling the tension in my body release with each step. I didn't look at him, though I knew he had noticed me. There was no reason to interact. I was here to disappear, not be seen. But the truth was, I wanted to be seen. As I bathed, I closed my eyes and let the water carry me. It reminded me of how long it had been since I'd felt light, feminine, or free. The pool, with its soft echoes and filtered sunlight, felt like a different world. A world where no one expected anything from me. A soft splash brought my attention back. The boy was closer now. Not too close, just near enough for me to notice.
He didn't speak.
He didn't smile. He simply swam past me, as if I were part of the scenery. I watched him from the corner of my eye. His strokes were smooth, deliberate. Occasionally, he dived under and disappeared for a few seconds before resurfacing, water glistening on his skin. He was beautiful, in the way that only strangers can be, untouched by history or responsibility. Part of me wanted to leave. The other part stayed still, anchored by curiosity. He swam again toward my side of the pool, this time slower. Closer. He dived once more, vanishing beneath the surface. I felt a sudden awareness in my legs, a flicker of energy in the water. But then nothing. I exhaled, unsure if I was disappointed or relieved. As I reached for the edge of the pool to pull myself up, I hesitated. Something had shifted in the air. Something invisible, unspoken. I wasn't sure what would come next, but I knew I wouldn't leave just yet. Not today. He resurfaced near the center of the pool, his hair slicked back, water dripping from his shoulders. I turned away quickly, pretending not to notice. But the moment had already shifted. My skin tingled, not from the coolness of the water, but from anticipation I couldn't explain. I tried to resume bathing, rubbing my arms slowly, as if washing away the thoughts that had begun to intrude. Yet every motion felt exaggerated, exposed. He was watching me. I felt it. A few quiet minutes passed. He began swimming laps again, smooth and methodical. I told myself I was being dramatic, letting imagination spiral into fantasy. Still, I couldn't deny the hum beneath my skin, the low, thrilling tension I hadn't felt in years. Then it happened. He dived underwater and disappeared beneath the surface. I scanned the pool instinctively, but he moved like a shadow beneath the water, quick and invisible. Before I could locate him, I felt it, a soft, deliberate touch between my thighs. Not harsh, not accidental. I gasped, more in surprise than protest. He was already swimming away when I looked down, as if nothing had occurred. My heart pounded. My breath caught in my throat. What was that? My instincts should have told me to leave. But I didn't move. I stood there, still and unsure, caught between discomfort and desire. My mind screamed caution, but my body betrayed me. My knees didn't shake. My fingers didn't curl into fists. I felt awake. He surfaced again, this time only a few feet from me. Our eyes met. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. His gaze was steady, calm, almost daring. He wasn't asking permission. He already knew the answer. And maybe I did too. I turned away, pretending to adjust my hair, to regain some illusion of control. But I didn't move to the steps. I didn't call for help. I didn't scold him. My silence said more than words could have. He drifted closer, floating lazily on his back, as if giving me a moment to decide. My thoughts raced. What am I doing? Why am I still here? What does this mean? But none of them anchored me to reality. Instead, I found myself watching him. Really watching him. The curve of his jaw, the ease of his smile, the reckless youth in his eyes. I wasn't thinking about loyalty or consequences. I was thinking about how long it had been since someone looked at me like that. He dove again, this time circling me like a curious animal testing its boundaries. I felt the water move around my waist, the current of his body brushing against mine without touching. Still, I remained. And then I did something I hadn't expected. I shifted slightly toward him. Not away. He emerged beside me, water cascading from his chest, his breath quiet and measured. For a long moment, we simply stared at one another. Two strangers bound by a growing current neither of us had planned. I should have stepped away, reclaimed my boundaries. But I didn't. I lingered in the heat of his gaze, suspended between right and wrong. I gave the smallest of signals, a slight tilt of my head, a soft movement closer, and he responded without hesitation. His hand reached for my waist beneath the surface, fingers curling gently around me as if he'd known my shape forever. My breath hitched, but I didn't pull back. His lips met mine. There was no prelude, no question, just the sudden, urgent meeting of mouths. It was soft at first, tentative, exploratory, but quickly deepened, driven by something unspoken and hungry. The pool seemed to disappear around us. I didn't care who I was or what I was leaving behind. I only knew that in this stolen moment, I felt alive. He pressed me against the smooth edge of the pool, his body fitting against mine with effortless precision. The water embraced us, making each movement feel weightless, surreal. Our kisses grew bolder, breathless, like we were trying to swallow each other whole. His hand slid down, guiding me closer. I didn't resist. It wasn't just lust, it was escape. A desperate reaching for something forgotten. I clung to him, letting go of every fear, every memory of cold dinners and silent nights. He whispered nothing. There were no words between us, only touch, taste, the wild thrum of something forbidden. The sound of our breaths echoed in the stillness, and I felt my body surrender, piece by piece, to his. Time blurred. The water around us shimmered with the movement of something intimate and irreversible. When it was over, we floated silently, our foreheads pressed together, chests rising in sync. For a moment, I felt guilt begin to creep in like a slow tide. But I buried it, locking it behind the heat still pulsing in my chest. I didn't want to feel shame. Not yet. I just wanted to hold on to the rare and fleeting sense of being wanted. He brushed his thumb across my cheek before swimming away, giving me space. I leaned back against the pool wall, heart still racing, unsure of what had just happened, or what it meant. Eventually, he swam to the steps and climbed out. He didn't speak, just turned to look at me once more. Our eyes met, and in them, I saw no regret, only invitation. He picked up his towel, then glanced toward a small notebook sitting by his bag. With quiet intent, he scribbled something on a torn page, walked back, and set it gently on the pool's edge before leaving. I waited until he was gone. Then I picked up the note. It was a name and a phone number. I sat on the pool's edge long after he had gone, the paper clutched tightly in my damp hand. His name was Ethan. Simple. Uncomplicated. Unlike the storm he had just left inside me. By the time I returned home, the evening light had faded into a muted gray. My husband was on the couch, scrolling through his phone, barely looking up when I walked in. "You're back early," he said, not bothering to ask how I was or where I had been. I murmured something forgettable and walked past him. In the shower, I let the water run hotter than usual, but it couldn't wash away the memory of Ethan's hands, his lips, the way he looked at me like I mattered. That look hadn't crossed my husband's face in months, maybe longer. I told myself not to call him. The next morning, I texted him.
Hey.
It's me. He replied almost instantly. I was hoping you would. What followed were quiet exchanges. A few messages. Then a call. Then a plan to meet. Not at the pool, somewhere neutral, quieter. We chose a small cafe on the outskirts of town, where no one would recognize us. He wore a plain black shirt. I wore guilt under my smile. But when he looked at me, really looked at me, I didn't feel like a mistake. I felt seen. We talked for hours. He asked questions, real ones. Listened like my thoughts mattered. When he touched my hand across the table, it wasn't possessive. It was reverent, tender. Days turned into weeks. We began to meet in secret, small, hidden corners of the city, hotel rooms rented by the hour, even long drives where the destination didn't matter. What started in the pool had grown roots in the real world. And I found myself craving not just his body, but his voice, his presence, the ease of being around someone who wanted me exactly as I was. Back home, I drifted through routines with practiced indifference. My husband didn't notice. Or didn't care. Maybe he had stopped looking for signs a long time ago. Maybe I had stopped giving them. One night, lying beside him in bed, I turned away and stared at the ceiling. I felt a text buzz against my thigh. Miss you already. From Ethan. And in that moment, I knew something had shifted in me for good. What began as an impulse, a forbidden escape, had become something else. Something I wasn't ready to name, but I wasn't ready to end either. I didn't leave my husband. Not right away. But I made Ethan my boyfriend. Not because I needed a new man in my life, but because he made me feel like a woman again. And sometimes that's all it takes.